Have you ever had the question of what is the best Mario game from the 80s? Well, today I'm going to do my best to answer that by giving a review for each of these games. Let's get right into it. Right quickly, before I get into the video, I would like to shout out Hot Pocket 500 for giving me this idea to start trying and expanding my content. Thank you very much, Hot Pocket. Go subscribe to him. He also makes videos like this too. Thank you again. Our first game we will be looking at is Super Mario Bros. For the NES. It was released on September 13th, 1985, and ever since it has been a hit, selling over 40 million copies. The objective behind developing Super Mario Bros. Was to create a hit game for Nintendo after the failure of previous games like Sheriff. Miyamoto originally wanted to use characters from Popeye, however, he wasn't able to get the license to use these characters until later and had to create his own. They were even thinking about making it a shooting game with the evidence of an old manual with pictures made for the game. But it was changed to a platformer. Now, let's get on to the review. I can say confidently that I have played this game myself and it is really good. It has a wide variety of secrets and enemies like Goombas, Koopas, Bowser, Hammer Bros, and other things like Bullet Bills. It has multiple selections of levels like night, day, underground, underwater, and obviously the Bowser levels at the end of each world. The music is great, however, I wish they had more kinds of music instead of having the same kind of music for night and day levels. My favorite level that I really enjoy is 4-2 because there's so much variety in this level with its secrets, and it has my favorite music, which is the underground level music. The graphics can be better, but you can give them credit since it's the mid-80s and tech wasn't as advanced at the time. The controls also are a tiny bit wonky, but they fixed them as they moved on with the other games. This is still a classic game and it's one of my favorites in my opinion. Now let's get on to the next review. The second game we will be looking at is Super Mario Bros. The Lost Levels. Super Mario Bros. The Lost Levels, also known as Super Mario Bros. 2 in Japan, is a direct sequel to the iconic original Super Mario Bros. Game, developed and published by Nintendo. This game was initially released in Japan in 1986 and later included in various Mario compilations worldwide. The Lost Levels provides a unique and challenging experience that pushes the boundaries of the original game, making it a must-play for fans seeking a true test of their platforming skills. It was created because many people who had played in the first Mario game thought it was too easy and they wanted a challenge, and oh, they got one. The Lost Levels maintains the same visual style as its predecessor, featuring vibrant colors, detailed sprites, and charmingly designed levels. It has pretty much the exact same soundtrack, except at the end when you beat the game, it sounds a little different. I'll play a clip right here. Now, if I had to rate this sequel, in some ways it's okay, but in other ways it is a pile of dog shit. They added a mushroom that kills you, warp zones that take you backwards, terribly hard levels, and Luigi's physics in the game were like walking on ice. One decent thing they did was add World 9 in the Letter Worlds, but to access the Letter Worlds you have to beat the game without using warps 8 times. Yes, 8 times. If they fixed the game, it would be a bit better, but man, this game was a bad sequel for what it started out as, trying to change the gaming revolution. Now, let's get on to the next review. The third game we will be reviewing is Super Mario Bros. 2, the USA edition. It is a platformer with much different designs and graphics compared to the last two games. It released in North America sometime in September 1988, and it was created since a lot of people thought that the Lost Levels was really difficult. Some people even say that it was technically made before 1988, and considering the fact that the game was a reskin of an unknown, unpopular game called Doki Doki Panic. The only reason they turned Doki Doki Panic into Super Mario Bros. 2 USA was because, well, the Japanese version was way too difficult for the people that played it, and they wanted something better. So Nintendo gave them an apology, and they decided to repackage Doki Doki Panic into what we know it as today, Super Mario Bros. 2 USA. Now, let's get on to the review of Super Mario Bros. 2 USA. In Mario 2, it has such a wider variety of enemies compared to the last two games. They've got Shy Guys, Sniffits, Ninjas, Birdo, Bomb-Ombs, Hoopster, Panzer, Fanto, Bezo, Porcupo, Ostro, Fry Guy, Claw Grip, Tri-Collide, and Mauser. And instead of just having Bowser at the end of each world, they have also added a variety of more bosses like Mauser, and there isn't Bowser at the end this time. It's actually another enemy. At the end, you actually fight a boss with the name Wart. There's also more types of levels than the last two games. You have your standard levels, you've got your subspace levels, which are hidden levels that are found by potions. There's auto-scroller levels, which the screen scrolls automatically and you have to keep up with the screen while avoiding obstacles and enemies. There's underwater levels, where you're underwater. You're in the desert. There's desert levels, there's ice levels, there's sky levels, and there's boss levels. There's also much more characters compared over to the last two games that we talked about. Instead of only being able to play as Mario and Luigi, you can play as Mario, Luigi, Blue Toad, and Peach. All have their special abilities. Mario is the well-rounded character with no specific special ability. He is a balanced character suitable for players who prefer a standard playstyle. Luigi, however, he has the ability to jump higher than any other character. This high jump allows him to reach platforms and collectibles that other characters may struggle to reach. Toad is the fastest character in the game. His speed allows him to quickly navigate through levels and outrun enemies. This makes him an excellent choice for players who prefer a speedy playstyle. However, Peach is able to temporarily float in midair. The floating ability allows her to cross large gaps, avoid hazards, and reach hidden areas that other characters may not be able to access easily. Super Mario 2 USA also has much more soundtracks than the other two games combined. So, with all of this into play, is it a good game? The answer is, heck yeah, it is much better than the Japanese version of Mario 2. That sucked, but this was much better of a sequel than the last one. Let's get on to the next review. The fourth game and last game we will be looking at is Super Mario Bros. 3. Super Mario Bros. 3 is a legendary platforming game that was released for the Nintendo Entertainment System as well back in 1989. Developed and published by Nintendo, it quickly became a fan favorite and is considered one of the greatest video games of all time. And with its charming visuals, addictive gameplay, and innovative level design, Super Mario Bros. 3 remains a must-play title for gamers of all ages. The game was created because, according to Shigeru Miyamoto, Super Mario Bros. 3 was conceived as a stage play. The title screen features a stage curtain being drawn open, and in the original NES version, in-game objects hang from off-screen catwalks are bolted to the background or cast shadows on the skyline. So basically, the whole game was just supposed to be like a stage play. Now, time to review the last game of the 80s. In Super Mario Bros. 3, there has been a big change. Instead of just going to the next level like always and just having the little stoppage of cutscene, it shows you an overworld map each time you complete a level and when you start the game. And each world has a little bit of a different design. And there are 10 different types of levels in this game compared to the others. You have overworld levels, you have fortress levels, you have airship levels, you have underwater levels, you have sky levels, you have pipe maze levels, you have ice levels, you have desert levels, giant levels, and Bowser's Castle, which is the final level in the game. Mario 3 really does offer a wide range of level types, ensuring that players are constantly engaged and faced with new challenges as they progress through the game, which is really good if you're trying to enhance the gaming industry. They also really kept building on with enemies. This time you have a Goomba, Koopa Troopa, Piranha Plant, Hammer Bros, there's a Lakitu, there's Bullet Bill, there's Buzzy Beetles, there's Potaboos, there's Boos, there's Swamps, there's Chain Chomps, there's Rocky Wrenches, there's Sledge Bro, and there's Boom Boom, and finally, ending it off, there's Bowser at the end, obviously. This is also not counting the bosses in the game, so the picture that I show here, it'll probably show more enemies than I said, because they didn't mention the bosses. My take on this is, it is one of the greatest games of all time. It is really good. It is full-fledged. It's got a crazy amount of worlds. It is enjoyable. I find that out of these four, it's the best game to keep the person playing attached. Just the way it has so much variety and it's got the world overview and how it's set up. I find that it's a great game to keep the player connected. Well, there's not really much else I can say about this game. Well, I mean, the warp whistles are pretty cool. You use them to warp around instead of just finding pipes and taking them. Yeah, so let's get on to the real point of the video. So this is how this is going to work. On this list, I will have our top four. And I will list them from least to greatest. Here we go. Now, it's time to rank. At number 4, drum roll please. Super Mario Bros. The Lost Levels. Who was surprised? SMB2J was really bad for what it was supposed to be. It was not the greatest thing. Yes, people wanted a challenge, but you made it too much. You added a mushroom that kills you. You added warp zones that take you backward. You added letter worlds, but it takes 8 times without warps to make them accessible. This is not a great game to play. No one will remember this game ever in the next 10 years. I have played all of the 4 games on this list, and I must say, this is astronomically worse than every single other game on this list. Terrible game. Don't play it, please. So let's get to the next part of the list. The next part on the list, coming in 3rd place, goes to SMB2. This was a really tough one to decide, and I'll tell you why. In my opinion, I find that SMB2 USA didn't have as much as an impact on the other 2 games that we were about to decide on here for impacting the gaming industry and revolution. It's still a great game, though. It's much better than SMB2J. This is way better to have a sequel. And yes, I know it's a reskin of Doki Doki Panic, but you can definitely say it is much, much, by far better than SMB2J. And so will the next 2 games coming up. Alright, folks, at the number 2 spot goes to SMB1. And yeah, I know. Why do you not have SMB1 at number 1? I'll tell you why. You see, well, SMB1, yes, it did have the big amount of impact on the gaming revolution, but it did not have as much variety as the number 1 game that I will be talking about in a second. That is a big part of why this came in the number 2 spot. And yes, it's still better than SMB2 and SMB2J. And obviously, at the number 1 spot, no doubt, SMB3. And I'll tell you why. You see, yes, SMB1, this is what I think. SMB1 changed the gaming revolution much, much more than SMB3, but SMB3 actually had the better game. So it can go either way, but I think better game goes over game revolution, Game resolution is very important though, but I find that how good the game is much, much more important. So that is why I had SMB3 over SMB1. And yeah, that's my list. At number 4, there's SMB2J. At number 3, it's SMB2 USA. At number 2, it's SMB1. And at number 1, SMB3 takes the crown for what is the best Mario game from the 80s. Thank you for watching. Before we end the video, guys, I just want to say thank you so much for watching. I know it's a new style of content, but I really hope you guys like it and enjoy it. Please hit the subscribe button. We're almost at 500 subscribers, something that I've been wanting for a very long time, and I'm trying to get there by starting up this new type of content and stuff and just trying to get back into YouTube again. So, guys, thank you so much for watching, and yeah, I'll see you guys later.